Chapter 15. When we reached school, I saw Frankie standing outside on the steps. I went charging up to him and launched into my apology. "Frankie, listen, I've been thinking about what happened, and I've got to tell you that—" Before I could even finish my sentence, Nick McKelty appeared on the steps next to us. Nick McKelty doesn't care if you're in the middle of an apology. He just blurts out whatever he has to say, which is usually something loud and obnoxious. Correction, it is always something loud and obnoxious. "Hey, Townsend," he hollered at Frankie, not even paying the slightest attention to me. "What did you think of the mutant moth that ate Toledo? Was I right, or was I right?" "I wouldn't know," Frankie answered, giving me a dark stare. "I missed it." "Don't tell me you didn't see it," McKelty said, his big mouth hanging open in surprise. "The part where the moth ate the policeman's guts and grew to the size of an apartment building was awesome. A total gross out." "I wish I had seen it," Frankie said quietly, staring at me until I thought his brown eyes were going to pop out of their sockets. "Someone I know was supposed to tape it for me." McKelty, who is generally not the brightest bulb in the lamp, put two and two together for the first time in his life. "Hey, sounds like Zipser screwed up again." He smirked. "What did you do, zipper face? Forget what the on button looks like?" I must have looked like someone punched me in the stomach. McKelty saw me flinch. He could tell he had found a sore spot, and now he was going to go for the knockout. "Yeah, those on and off buttons are really hard to push," he said, putting his huge face right up to mine. His breath was like a dragon who had eaten 6 onions for breakfast. "Back off, McKelty. I could only take so much. This is none of your business." McKelty grinned, and I noticed he still had some of his breakfast lodged in that big space between his 2 front teeth. I'm guessing it was waffles, but I couldn't entirely rule out cinnamon toast. "Did I tell you girls that my dad is getting the original poster of the Mutant Moth movie for me?" he bragged. "Not a copy either, but the only one they ever made." There it was, the McKelty factor at work. That guy exaggerates everything. We call it truth times 100. "And did I mention that it's signed by the moth himself?" he said, blasting me with another giant dose of his dragon breath. "What did he do, sign it in wing dust?" I shot back. Frankie laughed. That was a good sign. "You're funny, Zipser," said Nick. "Retarded, but funny." Ordinarily, if he hadn't been so mad at me, Frankie would have jumped to my defense. But he didn't say a word. He just pulled his Yankees hat down over his eyes so he wouldn't have to look at me. McKelty sensed that Frankie wasn't talking, so he fired off another insult. "Listen, zippity zipper man, maybe you can come over sometime and I'll teach you how to work a VCR. Oh, and when we're done with that, I'll teach you how to tie your shoelaces. I remember you had trouble with that back in kindergarten. You were never too swift, were you, pal?" "That's enough, McKelty," Frankie said. Yes, Frankie had spoken. I hoped that meant he wasn't mad anymore. Before I could find out, Principal Love came out onto the steps. Actually, I heard him before I saw him appear. You can't mistake the squeak, squeak, squeak of his Velcro sneakers. He's the only grown man I know who wears white Velcro sneakers with a navy blue suit and tie. Maybe he had trouble learning to tie his shoes in kindergarten like I did. Principal Love started to gather up the kids who were still standing around. "Everybody inside," he said in his voice that sounds like he's on the public address system, even without a microphone. "You know what I always say, a classroom without students is like a bird without a song." Principal Love says things that almost make sense, but then when you think about them, don't make any sense at all. What's even worse is that he likes to say these things twice. "Mr. Zipser," he said, pointing at me, "are you on your way to class?" Before I could answer, Nick butted right in. "I am, sir, and I'm looking forward to school today." The one true thing you can say about Nick McKelty is that he never, ever misses an opportunity to suck up. Principal Love gave Nick a friendly slap on the back. Yes, sirree. A classroom without students is like a bird without a song. Frankie and I bolted for the door and headed upstairs, trying like crazy not to have to walk with Nick McKelty. It wasn't a problem, though. He was hanging back with Principal Love, trying to score a few extra points. Nick's probably telling him how much he enjoys his announcements on the loudspeaker, I said. Frankie almost laughed as we took off up the stairs. Does this mean we're okay again? I asked. I'm thinking about it, Frankie said. Well, can you think about it fast? Because I'm calling an emergency meeting after school. 4 o'clock in the clubhouse. I really need you there. What's up? Frankie asked. I can't even begin to explain to you what a pickle I've gotten myself into. Give me a hint. I had gotten him curious, at least. Imagine your cable box. Got it. Now imagine it in, let's say, 50 pieces. Got it. I got it too, and it's under my bed. You didn't. Oh, yes, I did. Zip, is there anything you don't screw up? Frankie said as he reached the top of the stairs. Ouch.